What's up, guys? It's Pizzamonkey FGC here, and today I figured I'd do something a little different as opposed to my usual videos. Um, Today I'm going to give my thoughts on a specific topic that is very controversial in the FGC. Not in a bad way, but I'm going to talk about my personal favorite fighting game, Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Now, I know a lot of people cringe when they hear that name, but, was the game itself really that bad? I don't think it was, personally. Now, it definitely had potential, a lot of potential. I believe it could have been up there in hype levels with the likes of Third Strike and CVS 2. I believe it had that much potential. I mean, they put so much work into the marketing for the game, like those amazing CG trailers. And what else? They had that animated series sort of thing for the DLC characters, but they touted it as a PS Vita thing because the DLC characters were originally tied to the Vita release. Which brings me to my next point. I wanted to talk about things that the game really did wrong. Now, isn't the game that did a lot of these things wrong? One thing I will say that the game did wrong was Pandora. Pandora, the most useless comeback mechanic in history. Alright, you're already on low health with at least one character, right? And you're going to sacrifice that character for at first, 7-second boost when the game first came out. 7 seconds? Some supers were longer than 7 seconds. And they eventually raised it to, I think, 10 seconds. But still, man, like I said, some supers are like 7 seconds or longer. Marduk, for example, I believe in original version, if you did Pandora and Raw Super, he would go out of Pandora before the super finished. But yeah, you only have a time limit for that kind of stuff. Like, honestly, it would have been way better if you sacrificed one character for a power boost, and that was just it. You got the power boost for the rest of the game. You already lost your teammate, so you lose a lot of combo ability since the game is built off tag mechanic and such. But another thing that the game did was the time limit. Now, 99 seconds, standard for a 2D fighter. However, Street Fighter Cross Tekken had 4 characters, right? It wasn't that bad, but it's just the fact that you're constantly switching out characters and then regaining health. That is a lot of time wasted on the clock where technically almost nothing happened. They could have done something like Marvel 3, where 1 second was equal to 3 real life seconds on the in-game clock. Because, because you had 3 characters, right? Easily, they could have just made they could have had the in-game clock and shift across Tekken. 1 second is 2 seconds are in life. Just things like that would have avoided the big meme, time over, or Street Fighter Cross time over, I think was what they called it. Because a lot of timeout tactics were really strong when the game first came out, even after the 2013 update. But, alright, things that weren't in the game, though. Or wasn't the game mechanics, right? The gems. Gems? They're fine, right? If they had presets like they have now, where you have them based on power, defense, meter, that's fine, right? It was the fact that you had certain kind of gems and other ones that were more powerful. and that you had to equip them yourself, which led to a lot of randomness, right? Randomness in a fighting game. But aside from that, gems were also a big thing in the DLC for this game. I'd say they were borderline microtransactions, really. Yeah, that was assist gems. Why? Who thought that was a good idea? I know that, all modern fighting games are trying to make it more accessible to casuals. But just having, like, basically a... What do you call it? Like, you basically make it easier to play the character. Like, you know how instant reaction, anti-air, DP takes skill? Basically, you could do that with the equivalent of a anti-air reaction crouch heavy punch with the diagonal down. Like that... Nah, come on, man. Like, who thought that was a good idea? Ooh, auto block. Auto throw tech. The fuck? What is that? Anyway, what's next on my list? The graphics. The art style is not bad, okay? The art style is fine. I enjoy it. It's the Street Fighter 4 art style, basically, with a more comedic stroke of paint over it. It's the shaders and all the other, textures, that go on top that it does not mesh well. The PS Vita version, however, I believe that did a much better job of getting textures and stuff that fit with the art style. I'll put a picture comparing the two right here where I'm talking. But the art style wasn't bad. Almost every character looked really good. It was just the textures and all that. But alright, so on my list, that's all I have for what went wrong. I don't think anything else really went wrong. I mean, you could say there was a lack of stages. Let's see. There was 1, 2. I think there was 9 or 10 stages, right? That's really low. But at the same time, they had this cool thing where I believe 3 or 4 of the stages had stage transitions between rounds. There was the skate park. There was the Jurassic Era Research Facility. The Mishima State had 2 of them, actually. That was really cool. And I think there was another one. I might be wrong on that. But, that's it. It's fine. I thought that was okay. Now, what went right? The gameplay. The gameplay is some of the best I have ever played in a fighting game. You take Street Fighter 4, right? A game where lights are basically combo starters. And it's a very fast-paced, neutral game. And you make that into a more combo-oriented type of thing, That's just... Ooh, that...
Beautiful.
And, alongside that, to kind of transition into my next point, the implementation of the Tekken characters. Now, I believe there's 2 different species of the Tekken characters in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, right? There's the characters that feel translated from Tekken to Street Fighter. For example, Kazuya, Jin, Yoshimitsu, Brian, right? They all feel like they're Tekken counterparts, but in Street Fighter. And the other one is Tekken characters reimagined as if they were from Street Fighter. Now, for example, those characters would be Heihachi, Jack, Kuma, those kind of characters. Lawrence is a really good one. But yeah, they're kind of like two different beasts, right? But they both feel like they belong. They both feel right. And it's just the part where Tekken, at that point in time, had become a very combo-oriented game, right? All about juggles and wall carries and all that. So, Street Fighter Cross Tekken became a very juggle-oriented game. And I love that. The Street Fighter 4 engine, both juggles.
Sign me up.
And, it's the thing with the Tekken characters. Tekken's main gameplay style revolves around strings. So, Street Fighter Cross Tekken implemented strings as sort of like enhanced target combos. In Street Fighter, target combos are sort of just 2, maybe 3 normals that chain together. That's kind of what strings are too, but a lot of them have special properties, are mix-ups in themselves, lead to combos, extend combos. It's like playing a Tekken character. And of course, one of the cool things that they did for a lot of the characters is have directional inputs within these target combos, which is a lot like how Tekken has their strings done, right? For example, one of the ones for Kazuya is, I believe they call it Rampaging Demon. Back 2, 4, 1. Right? Or Heihachi. The Demon Slayer is neutral 1, back 2, and then 2. It's just things like that that make it really feel immersive, as if you're playing like a real Tekken game, a Tekken character. And I just thought that was really cool. And another thing about this game is that it made managing your resources feel more vital than most games. Now, you had 2 characters, right? 2 health bars. However, you lost the round if one of your characters lost all their health. So, you could have your teammate full health, but if your first character goes down, you lose the round. That's not a bad thing. Some people might say it's bad, but I don't mind it. But, aside from that, you have to manage the health of both your teammates. You have to manage the health of your opponent. Because that could lead into mind games and stuff. You leave them at low health, and they're going to try to tag or something, tag their teammate in, so you can just rush them down with no worries, knowing you'll get a free combo if they raw tag, or you can wait for a punish if they go for an unsafe tag or something like that. And also, the meter. One thing I absolutely adore about the meter usage in this game, supers, the base, like super art, whatever, does not use all your meter. Not a lot of, like, regular fighting games do this. It's more so reserved for things like hyper fighters, right? Where you get, like, many gauges of bar and you can use it, many different ways. Or, supers only cost 1 out of, like, 7 bars you could have, right? But in this game, you have 3 bars of meter. And a super only costs 2, right? That almost means even when you have full resources, right? You can still implement the tag mechanic into it. Now, tag unlike Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, does use meter. You use one bar to tag during a move. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Because Street Fighter Cross Tekken is not a very, it's not like a hyper fighter game, you know? It's not all about movement, movement, movement. It's still the basis of neutral and footsies and, you know, all that stuff. It's just faster paced and a little more on the aggressive side. It's not overbearing on the aggressive aspect. But, you know, again, learning when to tag, how to follow up with a tag, that's a lot of stuff you have to think about all the time. The game, I believe Street Fighter Cross Tekken is one of those games where mindlessness is not an option. If you go autopilot in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, you are going to be severely unoptimal, and you are not going to be good. Like, if you're just going, every punish you do, right, is an autopilot, crouch jab, crouch medium punch, crouch roundhouse, right? That is severely unoptimized. But it's easy, because you're not thinking about it, and it leads to a knockdown. But, if you're going to use your brain, right, you can go into a more optimal punish. Like, who's a good example? Kazuya, right? For Kazuya, if you were to get a jab off a punish, right, you could go the easy route and go the 1-2-3 tag, launcher tag, right? And just do a basic follow-up. Or, say for example, if you have meter, I know this is very, it's not exactly the be-all, end-all thing, but if you have meter, right, you can go Twin Fang Stature Smash, which is 1, 2, 4, and then you can go into a 3, which ends the normal string into a knockdown, or you can chain into a heavy punch. 1, 2, 4, 5. And then you can go into an EX slaughter hook, right? And already you're doing tons more damage. You're using meter. You have to think about what you want to do. And even, and it keeps you constantly thinking. You're constantly thinking about what you're going to do next. You never see a punish opportunity arise and go, I know exactly what to punish this with. That sounds ridiculous, especially with all the pro players up there. But there are so many different options on how to punish things, depending on your resources, depending on if you have meter, how much meter you have, your health, and the opponent's health. Because, if your opponent's health is low, and yours is low, are you going to try and go for the kill? Or are you going to tag out and do less damage to get your other character with more health in? And if you have less health, and the opponent has more health, are you going to go for the safest way, the easiest combo not to drop to tag your character in to be safe? Or are you going to go for the max damage tag option, It's one of the most big brain fighting games out there, in my opinion. I know it's a very subjective opinion, but it's just, I love it. I don't really know what else to say besides I love it. The game always feels fresh in a way. There's a whole lot of different ways the game can go. And there's other stuff too. There's rolls. They added rolls on Wake Up. And even that's a mix-up. You down your opponent, what are they going to do? Are they going to quick rise? Are they going to stay on the ground? And and stay knocked down? I forget what they call that. Or are they going to roll forward? You know, if they quick rise, be aggressive. If they stay down, wait it out. And if they roll, look for the throw, because you can punish rolls with a throw. You know, just for knocking a person down, there's 3 different options you gotta worry about. You know, there's a lot of thinking that goes into this game. And, you know, I'm not gonna get into it. There's a plethora of character-specific things that you have to know. And if you don't know, you could just get blown up by a character. Right? If you don't know that Nina's half circle forward kick into 2 punches is an unblockable hit grab, you know, you're going to get caught by it all the time during a block string. Or if you don't know that King's command grab has can only hit standing, and the other one only hits crouching, and he's only going for the same one because you keep crouching, you know, you're going to think it's cheap or something, but you got to realize that if you keep using the command grab that's only crouching, you just got to stand. But the game also has a good amount of how do I put it? It has a lot of player expression. You know, you can express yourself through how you play the game. There is not a single most optimal way to play the game, like most fighting games in the past few years, where there's only like one way to be the best at the game, and you know you got to play that way, or else you're gonna lose, or you're gonna have a really rough time. But with Street Fighter Cross Tekken, there's a vast amount of ways to play it, and still be, you know, viable enough to beat other people. And I love that. It really brings a it brings a bigger pot to the mixture of replay value, because you could play a single matchup, right? For example, Ryu and Ken versus Kazuya and Nina, right? That single matchup, you could play that 100 times, and each time, something very different can happen. I know you can say that about any fighting game, but Street Fighter Cross Tekken, there's 4 characters. There's many different ways to manage your resources. There's many different ways to optimize your resources and, you know, your combos and stuff like that. And, you know, even then, there can be a specific character that you're going to prioritize over the other. Or, you know, heck, you could even throw Pandora into one of those matches, and even then, there's one more different thing, you know? You know, granted, Pandora isn't something most people use, but it's one of those things where if it comes to it, you can definitely use it and, you know, make it worthwhile. You know, given that it's a very difficult thing to wager. Because either you kill with that Pandora combo, or you just lose to time over. But, yeah, I love Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I have adored it since the first time I played it, before I even got competitive into fighting games. Hell, I don't think I even knew what Tekken was when I first got that game. That game really introduced me to Tekken. And, I believe that game is what threw me into the competitive fighting game community. And that may be why I'm so heavily skewed in favor of it and why I love it so much. But at the same time, I did just list all the reasons I personally believe Street Fighter Cross Tekken is one of the best fighting games out there. It is very deep, it's methodical, and it doesn't get stale. I mean, everything gets stale, but this game has a lot of things that keep it fresh. That was a better way to put it, I guess. But, yeah, I think that's how I'm going to end this first talk episode. You know, that was an interesting talk. Maybe if enough people respond to this, see it, maybe, if they can put their rebuttals or their own opinions and thoughts in the comments and stuff like that, I'll think about doing another one of these videos if people find it interesting. And if you really did make it to the end of this, just to prove you really made it to the end of this video, put your favorite character in the comments that was in that game. Alright? My favorite characters were Heihachi and Hugo. Those were my main team. Put your main team in the comment section so I know that you really watch the video if you care that much. But thank you guys for everyone who watched, if they did watch. And hopefully I will see you in the next episode if there is one. See ya.
Red team wins! Perfect!